Are you an investigative professional? Did you know you can find the best private investigator resources using investigatorstoolbox.com? This resource community was built exclusively for licensed investigators and investigative professionals. You can network directly with members, educate yourself through free webinars and blogs, and even create your own customizable research library. Membership starts for as little as 49 cents a day. Download the Investigators Toolbox app or visit our webpage at www.investigators-toolbox.com.
You guys have been hearing for a long time about how much I love Crosstracks, but now you're going to hear from somebody else. So we got George Gerges here. George is a member and user of Crosstracks. George, tell me real quickly what you love about Crosstracks.
The simplicity of using it and the ability to customize everything that you could do with Crosstracks is awesome. It actually allowed me to take the way that I do my business and implement it into their system. And not only am I able to manage 10 or 15 cases, I'm able to manage 50 to 100 cases with the same effort.
Fantastic. So Crosstracks, the case management system, they are SOC 2 certified. Basically, that's an encryption, really an upgrade. They're the only ones out there that are doing it. So please support this great sponsor that supports our show. Check them out. The links are in the show notes. Crosstracks, if you're an investigator, you should be using them today.
Welcome to PI Perspectives. This week's guest, Harvey Morse. Harvey is an expert on genealogical research and has worked on some real high-profile cases. His family has been in the business for over 3 generations. Harvey also formed FAPI, the Florida Association on Professional Investigators. They have a great free conference coming up at the end of the month. So please welcome Harvey Morse and your host, private investigator Matt Spaier.
And welcome everyone to this week's episode of PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host. Today we are talking FAPI. We're talking the virtual conference that's coming up, but we're also going to talk about genealogical studies. I've got the founder of, or one of the founders of FAPI, Harvey Morse, here with me. Harvey, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for being here, Matt. Pleasure.
Yeah. This is such an honor to have you, man. Your company and what you guys do with the genealogical studies. I mean, you're kind of like the go-to folks that know how to do this stuff. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into the business and what you guys do.
Certainly. My grandfather actually started the business of missing and locating missing and unknown heirs to estates back in 1939. Okay. So we are about 82 years old. It's always been a family business.
Wow.
My nephew Ari makes it 4th generation. I was 3rd generation. And what we do is really unique because I never know where I'm going to be tomorrow because we're relegated to go where attorneys want us to go.
Right.
And it could be anywhere in the world. And I have fortunately been all over the world in this business.
What's that passport look like? How many stamps you got on there?
I got a lot. A lot. And I've got some that I don't want to ever use again either.
I'm sure.
And I've got one pending that I don't want to use in the future.
Wow.
However, our unique specialty is somebody passes away and there is a sum of money or property or things to be distributed. And the attorneys don't know who the rightful heirs are. Or sometimes there are people that come forth that are not rightful heirs, but they have a similar name. They think they're related and they want to lay claim to the assets. Well, we are the guys that come in and do all the genealogical work. I call it forensic genealogy. And we determine who the rightful heirs are based upon records and documents and uncontrovertible facts. So they're proven. They're there. They're in registries of deeds and registries of vital statistics. We then present affidavits to the attorneys. We then go testify in court. We prepare these genealogical charts. Sometimes they're massive. Sometimes they're 20, 25 feet long, depending on how prolific the family was.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just one little sheet of paper because there was one child and one descendant.
Right.
And the laws of each state vary, and we have to be familiar with the laws of descent and distribution in each state. My background is I went to college, I went to law school. I am not an attorney, but I know just enough to be dangerous as far as locating heirs are concerned.
Perry Mason.
Very Mason. And we've all been qualified as expert witnesses in this field in multiple jurisdictions in multiple states.
That's great. You guys were Ancestry.com before Ancestry.com existed, right?
Yeah, but that's been a big help, though. I tell you that. I mean, I'm the guy that used to climb up on the bookshelves in the library to get in Boston to get to the 30-foot height where city directories were located, and had to blow the dust off them in the first place, and one leg on each side of the corridor, and trying to hold a book in my hand 30 feet up in the air.
That's amazing. You know,
a lot of stories.
Yeah. Just to see how technology has changed and how you're able to use it to your advantage. And, you know, now throw in the DNA markers too, that everyone's out there running around getting their tests to see.
Well, it's still not always the easiest thing either. It's obviously a new form of technology. But there's nothing like looking at those old record books, and even those are not available on Ancestry. And there are some paper trails that are just amazing. And you know, I once wrote an article, and I entitled it "How to Find Anyone Almost," because you never know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had the opportunity to go to Ellis Island a couple of weeks ago with my kids. And man, it's so great going there. I hadn't been there since I was a kid, and they obviously have upgraded it and it made some changes. And I wish I had more time. You know, it's because you get lost.
I have an actual funny story. My grandfather, who started our estate business, came into Ellis Island from Russia. And he was just a little kid, and he didn't speak English or anything. And he was asked his date of birth and shook his head. And the customs inspector gave him a piece of paper. He says, "You look like such a nice little boy. I'm going to make it so it's always a celebration on your birthday." And he hands him a piece of paper that said he was born on July 4th.
There you go.
And we always celebrated July 4th as his birthday, as we really never knew his exact date of birth, nor did he.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, everyone's got stories like that. For me, it's like my last name, right? So my last name isn't real. They made it up. My family picked it, right?
Exactly.
Right. So,
and that happened a lot. If there were people, if the customs person couldn't spell a name properly, you hand you a piece of paper, and that was your name, and that was it, and that was official. It was just that simple. And that is also one of the issues we deal with in our forensic genealogy. A name can be misspelled, it can be mispronounced from what it actually was from Europe. And this is where we really get involved in some of the more technical stuff.
Yeah, I think it's neat that, you know, and anybody that carries my last name, chances are we're probably related. Because like the SPAIER, the way it is now, really is SPZJAER, you know,
exactly.
And they weren't having it. They were not having it at all.
Right. Exactly. And that's just what we have to work with.
Yeah.
But, you know, the comment I made before, I've been to the Ukraine, I've been to Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Russia, I mean, all over the place, going to these archives where vital records are kept and examining the records, taking photographs of them, because you don't have copy machines at all these places. Sure. And looking at the bindings, making sure pages weren't inserted. Because there is, sadly, a Russian mafia. I mean, think about it. if there's an estate with $7 million, they can grab the $7 million by presenting phony records.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy and a pretty nonviolent crime, but it's a crime.
Yeah.
So we have to look very carefully at the documents that are presented and whether they were actually the real documents that were presented.
Sure.
Fascinating.
Yeah. It's crazy how people can do things, and how a service like yours is needed to refute any potential bad people that are laying claim. And I take it a step further, right? That you've got different languages now. Also, you're taking photographs of that you probably can't even read. Like,
no, what we have to do is we have to use certified translators that have been approved by the Hague Convention that can testify in court as to what a document actually says. Right. I mean, I don't speak Russian, but I'm going there to look at Russian documents, so I have to have a Russian translator with me. As a matter of fact, you get a kick out of this from an investigatory point of view. My contract to go abroad requires my ability to retain an attorney at my expense, a translator, and security personnel, as we have been in some difficult situations trying to look at records.
Right. That's interesting, man. I mean, I guess that's trial and error, right? Like, obviously somebody was in a situation sometime. They're like, next time we come out, we're bringing the big guns with us.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably on any type of cases we've never dealt with before. I mean, and more recently, we just finished the James Brown estate. We had the Epstein estate. We had the Prince estate. We had the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami, which was a double homicide estate. It just goes on and on.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember there were times, I think the last time I talked to Ari, he's like, yeah, we got a big one, but I can't talk about it right now.
Right.
Fun, which is great.
I'm supposed to be going to Kazakhstan, 50 miles from Siberia. And I'm telling the attorneys, it's been a pleasure, but I am not going.
There you go. Right.
For a multitude of reasons.
Exactly.
But Zoom's really helped. Zoom's really helped. So what I did is I was able to set up a Zoom interview with the record keeper in Kazakhstan.
Wow. With
a notary and a translator.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether the court is going to accept that one yet, I don't know. It hasn't gone to trial.
So do you have to do like an apostille there? I guess you would make sense since you do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
It sounds very expensive what you do.
It is expensive, but bear in mind, we only get involved in the larger cases that involve Europe. But for example, our firm did the clearing of title for the National Seashore in Cape Cod. All these properties that people had owned for years and years and lost track of who owned what. And the government wanted clear title to make the national park. And they came to us and said, okay, you've got 500 pieces of land. We want to know who the rightful owners are. And that took several years to do, if you can imagine.
That is amazing. So, I think as investigators, we get calls all the time for this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And, we try and stumble our way through next of kin, but there does reach a point where you come in and you say, okay, we gotta call in the experts here. We gotta do it a different way. And, what are some of the mistakes you think that investigators make before reaching out to folks like you?
Well, the biggest problem is they don't necessarily have the credentials that will be accepted by a court, nor the ability to conduct investigations in foreign countries. For example, if you told me right now that you were an attorney and you have a new case in Paris, France, it would take me less than 30 minutes to call a fellow genealogist who is certified, well-known, etc., in Paris, France, to begin working on the case. Whereas somebody who's not experienced in the field, the first thing is, where are the records in Paris? Who do I call? Do I have to pay this person in advance? How much is it going to cost? We avoid all of that. We're just like the fire department. You give us a city, a state, a country, and we know where to go and who to speak to.
Sure.
And literally that's developed over the 82 years we've been in business.
That's awesome. It's really great.
Yeah, it's an immediate trust thing.
Yeah.
If I need someone in again, say Paris or any foreign country, they know us, we know them, and it's not, I don't have to tell them who I am and explain what I'm doing. They grasp it immediately because time is of the essence in some of these things,
Sure.
due to statutes of limitations, as you well know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely something that you got to be proactive with. So,
Right.
okay. So we're going to take a break here. And when we come back, we're going to take a complete left turn and we're going to talk about a really cool event that's happening, a free event, a virtual event that I'm actually a part of, and I'm honored to be a part of. You guys,
we're thrilled that you are.
Yeah, you guys do a great job with stuff, and I really want to dig into that the FAPI conference. So everybody sit tight, and when we come back, we're gonna jump into that topic. We'll be right back.
Want full data access without a site inspection? IRB Search gives you full social security numbers, dates of birth, up-to-date contact info, and so much more, without the inconvenience or cost of an inspection. As an added bonus, you can access IRB data on any device in any location. You'll always have the best data anytime, anywhere. Visit irbsearch.com and use exclusive promo code PIPOD2021 for a free trial and 100 credits. Offer available for new and returning customers. Looking for an insurance agent that puts you first? Every PI business is different. That's why OREP Insurance can shop multiple markets to ensure you get the best coverage to meet your unique business needs. OREP's model is business by the golden rule, and for over 20 years, they've built their business by putting their clients first. So come enjoy a fast online application and same-day certificates of insurance at OREP.org. OREP has coverage for armed investigators, executive protection, and even has a separate policy for security firms. The application takes less than 5 minutes, so visit OREP.org today. OREP.org. The summer's here, and that means it's time to bundle discounts with the Investigator Education Consultants. Bundles are available on the fundamentals of the profession, gumshoe talent, putting it all together, hard-time crime, and pocketbook crime. If you purchase any of these combinations, you'll receive a 10% discount by using the code BUNDLE, BUNDLE. Visit the website at investigationeducation.com. That's investigationeducation.com. It's not too late to register for the Tally Conference on August 10th to the 14th in League City, Texas. Learn more at tally.org. Check out the latest issue of PI Magazine, available online or via hard copy. Visit pimagazine.com to learn more.
And welcome back to PI Perspective. This is Matt Spaier, your host. Today we've got Harvey Morse from the Morse Genealogical Services Company, and we were talking about all that cool genealogical stuff, but we're gonna make a left turn here and talk about the FAPI conference. So, Harvey, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, man.
So FAPI, tell me what is FAPI?
Okay. FAPI is the acronym for the Florida Association of Private Investigators. I founded that organization many, many years ago. And we've got about 300 members or so at the present time. And we're all about education, all about training, and all about doing things that are right for the private investigative industry as a whole.
Right.
Our company is Locators International. We're based out of Daytona Beach. And again, similar to the Genealogical company, we've been in business as private investigators over 50 years.
Wow.
And we have our network, just as most other private investigators do throughout the United States. And again, a lot of what we do is all personal relationships. That's the way things are these days.
Right.
So FAPI has all volunteer offices. Nobody gets paid for anything. Everything we do for the love of the profession and for helping one another. We call ourselves the FAPI family. And we really are a FAPI family. We've had instances where people were really hard pressed, couldn't pay their house rent. Other members chipped in, just like you'd do if you had a real family, or somebody was sick and they needed some help to get to a doctor or something like that. We are the kind of organization that do those things, in addition to the traditional trainings, conferences, and such that other similar organizations do. And we connect with a bunch of other organizations throughout the United States.
Right. So this is, I think, the second year you're doing virtual?
This is the second year we're doing virtual. I'll tell you how that started. Well, when COVID hit, everybody really that needed CEUs was in a hard place.
Sure.
They couldn't get out. They couldn't get their CEUs. And I came up with the idea, well, let's do a virtual conference provided we can get CEU approval.
Right.
So one of our current president, John Gaspar, took it upon himself to be the one to get the CEUs. And with the biographies and the subject matter of each of the speakers, we were able to get CEUs from several states, including Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Florida Bar, and for people that just could not get out to get the training they needed, because the obvious consequence is loss of your license or suspension.
Right.
So we felt kind of a friendship, moral obligation to all the other licensees, especially the private investigators.
Right.
And at our last virtual conference, we had over 850 people online with fabulous speakers. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be one of them during this year's conference, which will be August 23, 24, and 25. And it is totally free. We do it really as a professional service. I can't say a public service, but it is kind of a public service.
Sure.
And at the conclusion of the event, you will be able to download a certificate for your particular entity, whether it's an association or a state that we've had approved for the CEUs. And we're doing it this year a little differently than last year. We're doing it from 1 p.m. to 5. So the people that have work to do, they can do it in the morning.
Yeah.
And we'll have some fun stuff afterwards.
FAPI hour?
Yeah, we have a FAPI hour.
Gotta have the FAPI hour.
And I think Mark Hurwitz, who's one of our members and a great guy, and he does a lot of fun stuff afterwards. It's almost as if you were really there. I think he's doing something on how to prepare certain alcoholic beverages or something or other. So we have a lot of fun at the same time that we do the educational things.
Sure. Yeah, no, I definitely made some friends last year at FAPI.
Yeah.
That's great. So who are some of the other speakers besides
Well,
this
I'm
hack
surprised
over
you're
here.
going to ask me that. I have the list of some of them here. We have Mike Graziano. He does electronic and cell phone technology. He's going to do a couple segments there. We have Peter Gallo. Peter, he's a great guy, great speaker, almost an entertainer.
Yep.
And he's going to do an attorney in several countries, and he's going to do a section on international fraud. We're going to have the director of the Division of Licensing from the state of Florida. We're also going to have the John Raymaker, who is the legal part of the Division of Licensing. We're going, and he'll be taking licensing questions from all over, from other states and other people. He did a great job with that last time. Chris Salgado is going to be do a section on OS INT investigations, and he's going to do a big segment there. Kevin McLean is going to do a segment on Freedom of Information Act requests, and John Gaspar and Reggie Montgomery are going to each do a half section each on ethics, because even if you have a real estate license, you still need to have an ethics component to keep your license active.
Sure.
And ethics is good for all of us anyway. And then we have Kelly Riddle, who's going to do a section on international cases and how to navigate through them. And let me see, we're going to have one other individual here, Paul Jayab. He's going to do something on the pitfalls of running a private investigative agency. So a pretty good agenda with some fantastic speakers.
Yeah,
including you.
Whatever. I'll be talking on witness statements. And taking witness statements virtually, and some of the new technology, new things that are being put in place, and just things to look for when you're actually doing an actual statement in person. So again, it's a huge honor. I joke about it. It is an honor to speak to you guys, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
We're going to have a great audience. So
yeah,
great audience.
800 people last year, and it's free, which is great.
Right. The way people register, if I may.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Our website is www.myfapi.org, MYFAPI. And you can also look up Florida Association of Private Investigators. Mm-hmm. And you can just register right on that site. We're also, and I didn't mention this, but it's important, we're also going to have a bunch of vendors and allow them to make very short, like 5-minute presentations on the services they offer to the investigative community.
Right.
And that'll be very interesting too. As you say, the technology changes and services change. And that way we present a really well-rounded virtual conference. Of course, we're supposed to have our live conference in February or March. We're not sure yet because we had to postpone that for the last 2 years due to COVID.
Right.
So we still have that thing in the works.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, that whole like vendor thing. So I participated in that last year with Investigators Toolbox, and it was great to have people come in. You know, it's something to talk about something and say like, hey, you can do this, you can do that with it. And, I guess it's better to show somebody, right? So what I appreciate about it is I was able to share my screen and go in and walk through the site and show people some of the benefits of training and resource management and things like that, where, they wouldn't get that 5-minute pitch, essentially.
Right, and people can ask questions, time permitting,
Yeah.
which makes it very, very interactive. And then we'll probably have some breakout rooms if you had, let's say, an abundance of questions for Investigator's Toolbox.
Yeah.
You go in a breakout room, and people can go into that room and just work with you, and you can explain what you want, how you want it to them, and answer their questions.
Yeah, it's
Almost as if you were live.
It's great. Yeah. I give you guys a lot of credit too for offering it for free, and even on a sponsorship wise, like not even pressing on the sponsors to give financial support on it, just saying like,
Right.
hey, we're doing this thing, and it's really just for the passion we have for the industry.
Exactly right.
And folks, like, they appreciate that. I know I joined FAPI, and that last year it was like one of the things. Okay, you're going to put this thing on, you're going to do it. I'm absolutely going to support your organization, and it's great. And I know a bunch of people in FAPI, guys like Mark and John, and like they're good people.
Absolutely.
They're good investigators. They're good resources to have. So, and Ari too. And I guess you're okay.
Yeah, okay. He's all right.
He's okay.
He's my 401k.
There you go. You weren't supposed to say that, man. So yeah, it's great. I'm excited to be a part of it. Again, it was an honor. I know originally I was supposed to be one of the live speakers too, like in person.
Right, and that still may happen.
Yeah. It's finally, or you get to the point you'll be like, finally, finally.
Yeah, it's been rough. I mean, Florida does not have CEUs that are mandatory to keep your license, but take people in North Carolina, where if you in other states, if you don't get your CEUs, you are out of luck.
Yeah, and even like I know it was an issue for like renewals, right? So the people that were their licenses were due to expire like during COVID up in New York,
right? Yeah,
the agency's offices were closed, so
right?
Like, what am I doing here? You're like, it says my license is expired, but obviously I can't renew it because the offices are closed. Like, is this going to affect my work product? Is some like savvy attorney going to be like, well, we're going to move to exclude this report because at the time it was provided, he was not recognized as being a licensed private investigator in the state of New York.
Right.
And chances are a judge is going to be like, yeah, get out of here. You're wasting time. But there's always a possibility that could happen.
Right. Anything that comes out negatively against you for whatever the reason is perceived as being negative.
Yeah.
And you don't want that to happen.
No, you definitely don't want that to happen.
No.
All right. So yeah, I wanted to have you come on and just kind of talk about the conference and what people can expect. Please, folks, go register. I mean, it's free, for crying out loud. I mean, it's not going to cost you anything other than your time, and 4 hours a day is nothing. I mean, make the investment in yourself. The content, other than that hack that's going to be talking about witness statements, and the content's going to be great.
And you can also pick and choose. You don't have to sit there for all 4 hours.
Right.
You can just go to those topics that are of interest.
Are relevant. Yeah.
We'd like you to, do the whole thing because it is an educational program.
Sure.
But if you just want to pick up one or two areas, we've got you covered.
It can only benefit you, right? So,
right.
Okay, so let's plug the site one more time, right? It's myfappy.org, I think is what you said, right?
Yeah, myfappy.org, or look up Florida Association of Private Investigators, and it'll direct you to our website.
Awesome. And then the Genealogical company and your investigation company.
The investigative company is Locators International, Inc., and the genealogical company for any probate matters whatsoever is Morse Genealogical Services, LLC.
Awesome. Harvey, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for doing what you do for the industry.
And for you too, Matt.
Yeah,
you guys too, for letting us promote it and for making people aware of it. We are very grateful to you.
Yeah, we got to beat that 800 number. So, folks, you got to go and sign up. I get obsessive with stuff like that. So I get OCD right now. He will not be satisfied until there's at least 801 people there. So
Right, there you go.
That's my challenge to everybody.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you, Harvey. And I'll
Thank you,
see you
Matt.
virtually.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, Harvey, for coming on and talking a little bit about what you do and how you do it. Consider registering for the free FAPI virtual conference in a few weeks. The show notes will have more info. And thanks to Crosstrack's IRB, Investigator Education Consultants, OREP, and Tally for sponsoring the show. So please support our great supporters. Have you thought about joining Investigator's Toolbox? Now's the time to get on board and join the fastest growing digital community for investigative professionals. Use code PIP 201836 to save 10% on membership. If you have a question or a comment about the show, email Matt at matthews@satellitepi.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We'd like your feedback to bring you the best shows possible. And we'll be back next week with a new show. So make sure you tune in and stay safe out there.